Imagine being in a race. You don't know where it is going. You don't know how long it will last. You get tired and you look around. You see people handing you water, handing you gels. They're giving you the best tips on how to run more efficiently, how to run faster. But in the end, you don't even know why you are running. Why are we in the race? Are we even in a race? And where is this race going? And I think this metaphor describes very well how most people nowadays feel in their daily lives. It seems like we are running, but where are we actually running to? And the interesting thing is that there are a lot of influencers, personal development people out there that give you a lot of really, really great tips on how to be the best runner, how to get from A to B in the most efficient way, etc. But they kind of skip the question of why. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Which I think is the most fundamental and important question. And that is the topic of today. I want to explain the framework that I have kind of laid out in the PDF that you can access for free. I will link it in the description below. And I want to walk through it. There are a couple of prompts that I want to ask myself and give you the honest answer from my view, at least, from my view of the world and my perspective. And I'm hoping that this will be interesting for you as well, motivate you to use this template. Like I said, it is free, so it's just a click. You can look at it. It's not even that long. And if you like it at the end, there's a link to a waiting list that you can subscribe to. If you like, I'm going to make a full-blown course out of this content, which will probably be launched on Udemy somewhere later this year. So if you're interested, you can get free access to that course if you subscribe to the waiting list in that document. And as you are still watching this video at this point, I would also quickly like to mention that lately I have been growing the channel quite a lot and I almost hit the 1K subscribers. So if you see that it's like 980 something or 990, please help me get to the 1K. That would be a great milestone for myself. As you've watched the video so far, you might like the content. You don't want to miss out in the future. So subscribe and yeah, let's dive into the topic. So the document that we talk about, the Tree of Life, a guide to rooted living, is a document that I created, which basically combines the thoughts of different kinds of books that I was reading. Most of all, it's connected to the work of Stephen Covey, so the writer of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and First Things First. First Things First, I read second, interestingly enough, and it's the most recent in my mind. I used a lot of concepts from there. But basically, his framework is also somehow similar with this. You have principles, mission, roles, and then in the framework that I set up, it's in the image of a tree. So at the bottom, you have your principles, which are really the core foundation, your core beliefs that you have. Those feed into your personal mission. So maybe you've heard about a mission statement in the company that you work for, or a sport club that might also have a personal mission. But this is really your personal mission of you as an individual. And I think this is really fundamental because that mission describes what you are here for. What is your goal? Are we running a race or are we here for the experience of it? So that is something that is defined in the mission. And to support that mission, you're fulfilling certain roles in life. So that's where the roles come in, and the roles have certain decisions that need to be taken. And at the end, at the top, the leaves at the top, they are the actions that you take day to day that should all be fed from everything that comes below, but also feed back to everything that comes below. So it is a ever evolving organism, as is also a tree. So that was the framework that I used. I find it very useful. And to start working through this PDF, which is just 4 pages, we start at the basic principles, the roots. As it says there, everything starts at the beginning. A mountain has its base, a house has a foundation, a tree has roots. What are your core principles that are non-negotiable beliefs that you have about reality? So that's basically where the situation starts. And you can tap from various religions, actually, or other belief systems to get a nice foundation. Maybe you were brought up as a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, whatever. Maybe you were raised by atheists. Maybe you are in the meritocracy, maybe you're a capitalist, whatever it may be. Maybe you believe in science. There are some fundamental beliefs that you have that probably you were taught at some point. So you can also imagine that at another point in your life, these principles might change. But these are the most fundamental things that you believe to be true about the world. So there are a couple of examples, like, for instance, life is good and everything happens for a reason. And to make this more concrete, so the prompt was, what are your most powerful principles? And I took my time to write it down. So just for full transparency, my core principles are life is good, existence is good. And I will explain a bit later what I mean by that. You see what you focus on. So it can be a bit like a metaphysical thing that you manifest whatever you believe in, but there's also some, let's say, scientific evidence for that there are so many things around you that we could perceive, but we only actively perceive a small thing, and that is highly dependent on what our goal is at that moment. Therefore, if you switch your goal or if you switch your focus, you will see and perceive different things in the world. So in that sense, you see what you focus on is one fundamental one. The third point, which is basically like a bit of a story I already have created, a narrative in my mind about reality, is that life is like a dance or a song. I wrote down, its temporal nature makes it more beautiful and special. The highs and the lows make the harmony. So I could make a full video about that, which actually will happen. I will have a discussion with Michael on the other channel, Unfamiliar Randomness, where we will dive into religion. And this is probably one of the topics that we will address. But the idea that it's not about being happy. Those would be like the high notes in your life. The high and the low notes together make this kind of harmony of the human experience that is, as such, the goal, and as such, very beautiful. And the last point I have, sometimes the intention of something can be hard to know. It can then be inferred by looking at what it is doing and resulting in. That is something actually that I took from Jordan Peterson. He mentioned this. If you cannot really guess or know someone's intention, you can look at what he or she or they are achieving by that specific action and infer the intention by the outcome. It's a bit of a tricky one. You cannot always apply it, but maybe as a last resort. And then I was looking at life and thinking about, well, we are living and experiencing, so maybe the goal of it is living and experiencing. I mean, it sounds very simple, but I know there are also people who think like there is no meaning, that is one of their core principles. Although I would kind of challenge that if that's truly what they believe, if that is also the thing that follows from their actions. But we will get to that at a later point. So these 4 things are my core principles. Now, the next step is then moving on to the trunk of the tree, which is the mission statement. The mission statement from prompt is, write down your mission statement. So if you read the paragraph about the mission statement, it's also very clear that you might have different principles, but they can all feed together in one complete overarching mission. You might have separate paragraphs, separate stories that you like to tell yourself, that you like to use. And this is also a lot influenced by your current state of mind, the things that you currently know, the things that you currently believe. So, side note here is that this is a living document, and that you can and should revisit this frequently, maybe not too often, but to know that this is not necessarily permanent, but this is something that can help you guide yourself. Check, am I doing the things that I actually think that I should be doing? So based on the stuff that I wrote above, my mission statement is this. And please be kind, I wrote this down last night, and maybe not everything might resonate with you. I also tried not to overthink too much. So I'm not the best writer, but I wanted to write from my heart. So there we go. Life and existence is good. That means I want to live a grateful life. That means to be grateful for everything that I have, experience, and encounter. In this regard, even losing something is a valuable experience that teaches me something which I should be grateful for. Furthermore, anything that exists is sacred, should have the chance to exist. especially any living thing that has the capability of experiencing existence. Life is sacred, all life. Be kind to animals, be kind to people, don't cause unnecessary suffering, even try to reduce unnecessary suffering. So this reflects mostly to the life is good, existence is good kind of principle. I truly believe this. I enjoy existence through the good and bad times. And I think that giving that opportunity to as many sentient beings around us as possible is part of my mission, at least. So, I mean, you get into some controversial things if you want to discuss mass production of animals, because then you give a lot of opportunity for creatures to exist, but it's not the greatest kind of existence. Maybe going a bit too deep there, but like the core principle is that you want to give everything that is alive and kind of sentient and has a way of experiencing itself the chance to do that in a natural way, and you want to stop unnecessary suffering. So these two are a bit balanced there. This again implies that I myself don't want to be the cause of it unnecessary suffering, so I must strive to be the best version of myself that I can. This has a lot to do with personal development, so not necessarily saying, oh, I'm perfect the way I am. I think I can love myself the way that I am and still want to become better. As the amazing quote goes, 1,000 forests is in one acorn, which means that if you have the acorn, of course, it's not yet 1,000 forests, but it could be. There's that potential in there, and I think there's that potential in every one of us to become what we truly should be. I want to play my part in this song called Life, so I'm hinting at that this is like a song or a dance. I want to play it playfully and with skill and with fun and adventure. I want to try something new, improvise here or there, and then come back to the harmony. The goal of all of this is to have the full human experience, and I aim to learn from the sages and prophets that gained so much knowledge in the past, and learn even more about myself and my specific instrument and soul. So I'm taking a lot of things together that I really believe, but I like to tap into knowledge that was already gained before, as if you would learn to play an instrument. You can play around with it a bit yourself, but obviously you're also going to learn from a book that already describes how you can play, how the notes are related to each other, etc. So they are learning how to play my instrument in order to add to the whole harmony that is life. I'm on the path of discovering my path. In this endeavor, I will try to be loving, grateful, and ever improving myself in the skill of being myself and being kind. I think we can't understand the infinite God, but we can infer its intention by seeing that we exist and experience. The goal must be to exist and experience. So that's kind of the same. So this is a little bit like my vision of the world and my mission in it. So it's a paragraph, honestly. So you can list it down into its specifics, but I think it's also very powerful to have a paragraph that describes what you think that you are here for. That's basically what your mission should be, and that flows from the principles that you think are 100% true. To give an alternative idea, maybe some people might say, I believe that science is the truth of reality, which I don't say I don't believe, by the way, but it is not so fundamental for me. That means that I want to explore, therefore, everything that the universe has to offer. I think we should explore space. I think we should explore everything from the smallest particle to the largest object that we can find. And this is my mission. So that can also be another way of looking at it. After you have your mission, you have your roles. The roles are certain things that can be given to you by circumstances, by the way that you've lived life so far, a bit of legacy. But it can also be things that actively support your mission. And that's actually the way that you should see it. You can choose to take on certain roles that support your mission, and you can actively choose to play out your roles in a way that supports your mission. And that is how, in my opinion, that's usually where we go wrong. We don't know what our principles are. We don't know what our mission is. Therefore, we just play roles the way that we see other people play roles. We just play roles that were given to us without thinking about it. And we feel unsatisfied because we're not living our life. We're living someone else's life, or maybe a group of people's lives, or maybe even an abstraction of a group of people's lives, not something specific to you. And you are a specific individual. You have free will, you have agency. So I think this is the very key point where you get to play around, be a bit more playful and adventurous, and have fun with this whole exercise. So as roles, you can literally list anything that you feel like you are playing a kind of character, playing a part in. So for me, first implicit prompt here is to list your roles. I am a human being. That means I'm having the human experience. It's kind of an adventure, you can see it. As such, I'm also a friend, a son, a brother, an uncle, a husband, and I aim to become a father. So all the familiar things that are maybe more related to your biology or your social environment, those are all roles that you want to play. In my occupation, I'm an architect at my company. I'm trying to create order out of chaos in that role. I try to add value to a company that makes very complicated machines. That again helps to improve the world. So that is my role there. I'm also an entrepreneur that tries to set up companies that help the world in their own ways. So I tried various ways for that. I'm working on something that reconnects the modern mind with the ancients. You might see a sneak preview in the back where I make actual ancient replicas or replicas of ancient busts from the Greek mythological figures. And I wanted to become more available for people to have in their living room. So that's one thing that I'm working on. I'm working on an app that helps connect men and women more deeply in a relationship and help understand them a bit more. More of that as well later. I'm not trying to advertise myself. And also in this setting, I'm trying to share knowledge about personal development so that everyone can become a better version of themselves, including myself. So this is a way in which I try to set up new things that weren't there before, that I can give my individual essence to, that maybe make the world a better place, make existence a bit more pleasant, and stop unnecessary suffering. So that's one of my roles as well. And furthermore, I am a European. I live in Europe. I'm a member of a community of people who believe in free trade, fair laws and enforcement, and freedom and prosperity across the world. So some people might think this is not what Europe stands for. This is not European Union. We're all dictators, blah, blah, blah. That's not my view of it. I am a positive citizen of the Netherlands, of Europe. I know there's corruption and issues everywhere that we need to fight at the right level of abstraction. I do trust in the system, and I think that I would like to take my role as a citizen, as a voter as well, and take the responsibility for the state that the country is in as well. So this is a role that I also wrote down. Then we go to the reflection prompt. Are there any roles that you have neglected so far? Definitely, I think a thing that can always be improved is an adventure. So literally taking your life as an adventure. If you were to watch yourself being a movie, what are all the things that you could be doing right now that would make your life so much more interesting and exciting, and really go out there and try it? So for me, one of the things was starting the YouTube channel. It was pretty uncomfortable at first because you have to get used to watching yourself, listening to yourself, and then you have to go to the dreadful experience of editing all the uhs away, and every single pause that you do. At a certain point, you get used to it and you get better at it as well. But it's a bit of a dip, and later you start enjoying it more and more. So you're putting yourself out there for other people to judge or not even to watch, which is maybe even more painful. But that's a thing in which I try to make my life more adventurous. But you could come up with many, many different ways. For instance, a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, goes on many adventures all the time, like literal adventures. I think almost a year ago now, he went to the North Pole with a sailing boat, and then they climbed mountains over there. It is wild. So they just decided, let's go on a cool trip. What does it cost? What do we need? Let's go. And they did it. So I think you can make your life really into an adventure. Try to discover the places around Earth. Try to discover different cultures, learn different languages, eat different foods, if you're into that at least. So that's like the thing that I like to do as an adventurer. I'm not taking full advantage of that role at the moment. Similarly, as a European, I think I haven't really had enough influence, I would say. as some of you might know, I'm originally German, so I have a German passport, but I live in the Netherlands, which means I cannot vote for the Netherlands elections, like national elections. And what I need to do for that is actually become a Dutch citizen, which I'm planning to do. But so far, I have not done that. Another one is a friend and also brother, uncle, husband. So I feel like I could actually improve a bit on those. I have neglected seeing my friends recently, and I should do that more. So this is a nice way to look back at them and say, okay, there are certain things that I want to do more than others. I'm not just my job. I'm not just working as an architect. So that's the thing that you can realize here. Are there any roles that are missing that might actually aid in your mission? I wrote down there are smaller sub roles. For instance, husband here also includes that I'm a co-owner of a household. Keeping my microcosm intact is not something to overlook. Maybe I should add overseer of my microcosm as the smaller thing, as a role, as the smaller things ripple out to the larger things. Within that would also fall taking care of my body, eating healthy, and going to the gym. I kind of owe it to myself to keep the existing experience the best that I can. So I've come up here with the overseer of my microcosm as an additional role that I would like to add. What decisions support your roles right now? I think a clear example is non-negotiable stuff I do for myself, like gymming, eating healthy, sleeping enough, and also cleaning the house, for instance. These are really things that I like doing as I know what I'm doing them for. So sometimes you have to drag yourself to things and you have to overcome your urge to be lazy and stuff. But if you have your why properly aligned, you know, oh, why am I doing it? Because I want to have my human experience the best that I can, because I want to stop unnecessary suffering, and suffering a bit now might prevent suffering later. So being healthy, etc. Taking care of yourself. So once you have that why, it's actually like, I'm not waiting for the result. I'm not waiting for the state in which I am perfectly healthy. That state will never come, of course. It is me acting out the person that I want to be. And that is the person that takes care of themselves and the person that takes care of their household. So in the activity itself already lies my enjoyment, that I am the person that I want to be. Maybe that's also a good one for you to remember, that you're not doing the activity for the long-term effect, although there might be one. While you do the activity, you can already be proud of yourself. You are the person that you want to be. So taking time to work on myself is definitely a part of that. But also taking time to have spontaneous experiences should be included. Another clear decision is trying to explore new ways to add value to the world. This could be reaching higher goals to achieve my business or side projects, or reaching higher in my position at the office, or really being a better friend, husband, etc. So you can also reach higher by taking some of the more mundane or simple roles and really have that figured out to the core. Like, be the best house owner that could possibly be. Like, do you have everything organized, clean? Can you always host friends? Do you always have enough food? Do you know what to cook? Are you a good cook? Blah, blah, blah. All these things, you can really see it as a game in which you can level up, and you can level it up to the max if you wish. So, and that would also be in line with your personal mission. So there are really different ways in which you could play out these roles. So how are you currently fulfilling your roles in a way that was prescribed to you? Can you play those roles in a more you-specific way that will serve you better? And this is a very interesting and playful prompt, because here is where you can actually see how it is a bit of a game and how you can make it so personalized. You can start fantasizing a little bit about what you would like to add. So the goal of a role can be reasonably set, but how that is achieved is almost infinitely malleable. As an architect at my job, for instance, I can copy the ways of my peers, but I can also be more creative. How can we move toward the future more? How can I do it in a more funny way? Can I inspire people around me? Sometimes it's hard to really put this into words, but fantasizing is the best way to imagine yourself giving yourself your special flavor. So Like I said, we can maybe not fully understand how to look at it, but if you start fantasizing and seeing it as a role, as if you were playing a role-playing game and you're a magician, but you're not like a magician who is reading like the spells and just standing in the back. Maybe you're a magician who also has a club in his hands and starts bashing people from time to time, in an RPG, not in real world. But you can also think about that with your roles, like your job position or being a husband. You might do very unhusbandy things, or mix it up a bit, make it interesting, make it you specific. And the final prompt, that is always good to do at the end of the day, maybe the beginning and the end of the day, you can come to it twice a day, is what 3 actions or any number amount of actions today reflect your highest principles. So reflecting back on today, I can say that going for a short run in the hot sun today was part of the exerting my agency and making it known to myself that I am playing my instrument, I am in charge, and I'm taking care of myself, and I'm becoming a better version of myself. So that was action number 1. I also spent some time with my wife, having a slow breakfast and enjoying the morning with some coffee. I think this reflects how I play my role in my own personal way to have the life as a friend, a life partner, and a husband. And finally, also working on the YouTube channel. Of course, doing this takes time. It's incredibly fun, exciting, and yeah, it follows in what I explained before. Me trying to improve myself and help others maybe who want to improve themselves. And doing that is already making me more aligned with my core principles. I hope that this was helpful. As I said, the action part, I think you could review daily. If you're interested, just download the PDF. Like I said, it's for free. You can click on it. The link will be in the description below. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. I can talk about it some more. If you would like to be included in the option for the free course, so everyone who subscribes to the waiting list will get free access to the course when it's out later this year. Please do so. If you like the video, and don't forget to have a great day.